There's a lot of disinformation that's on the internet that is packaged as both spiritual and political to pull people in that haven't done any research. One website that was sent to me recently, I feel a responsibility to highlight some of the warning signs, especially when you see talking points from Infowars.com. See, we do live in this global conspiracy, and it is a problem for us, and we should be aware of it. That's why I started a show years ago. There's a big difference between being aware of that and then putting out propaganda and sharing that information that Donald Trump is some sort of gift from the Galactic Federation of Light with his friend Vladimir Putin. Now, I talked about this disinformation, this fake New Age channeled information. We're going to take a little bit of a look at a website that has this type of content. But we can also see what else they say about modern politics. Syrian President Assad says the deep state is in control of America, not Trump. Is Trump right about banning Muslims? And again, it's called Starship Earth, right? Welcome to the big picture. Yes, flushing out the vermin, psyops. And then we have things of this nature. So it's basically like a spiritual version of InfoWars. References to light workers, but it's disinformation with regards to the global conspiracy. Now, I want you to take a look at the tags. I'm going to try to keep this video under a certain length, right? I've talked about this stuff last winter, websites like this. So take a look at the tags. What do you see? You see the buzzwords that websites like this that usually work in a network, and maybe they're using mind control to somehow influence people that should have the intuition to tell them that this is the dark web. But see, when you see people believe in stuff like this, it's a very dangerous sign, especially if you think that they're on the ascension path. Look at some of the buzzwords. Ascension. Benjamin Fulford. I've talked about him in past videos and the disinformation about China, Chinese ninjas, things of that nature, something out of a grade B movie. Banksters. Cabal. And so I'm someone that has talked about, right, the NWO for years, the New World Order. And there's a lot of information, though, disinformation that has skewed things. And so there really is a fake news epidemic that is on the internet. And a lot of people believe that that is the genuine news because it's written in a certain tone. The only reference to Afghanistan or any victims of war, there are no victims of war references, but just allegations that they're bombing ancient giant ruins in Afghanistan. No references to innocent Afghanis being removed off the planet, their DNA being removed off the planet. And it's interesting. You need to know about the New Agers from the 1980s and the belief systems and the idea of the DNA upgrade. And if they can believe even still that we're in that ascended, becoming more ascended world as millions die, what type of a God are they praying to? What type of deities are they praying to? What type of archangels are these? Take a look at some of the other buzzwords. Dark Cabal. False flag. And so we have generic Hillary Clinton, Illuminati. You see, Obama, Russia, UFOs. A lot of people aren't able to decode that. And I'm not saying that I'm like a brainiac, but there's like certain codes and buzzwords to where it's in the paradigm of the left-right paradigm. There is the light side and the dark side of the conspiracy research community. This is the dark side. This is the dark side. Recent posts. I want to make sure you're able to see this so you can pause and read these posts for yourself and then click on them. But some of you are often seeing some of the same names, some of the same topics, constantly promoted by the networks of websites. And one time I did call out, by the way, Max Egan for not really stressing the victims of war of all these different countries. Why just Palestine? And why in a lot of these controlled opposition websites, they just use Palestine as some sort of a wedge to act like they care. Or talk about Syria, act like they care. Well, also, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at this Ascended website. Now, keep in mind, right, that this website, and it remembers that I was just looking that up. This website here purports to be a spiritualist website. The Big Picture. The anonymous handler, I wrote somewhere else, read somewhere else, says he's in Canada and just signs off BP. So they don't even use their actual identity. This video has been removed, by the way. right? The horrors of the Soros immigration program in Europe, Jeff Rentz and Dr. Leonard Caldwell must listen. Right here, the subhumans, as Jeff calls them, and as I have often referred to them and others in the fading power structure, are not war refugees from Syria, as the controllers would have us believe. I'm going to go in here and have this highlighted. This right here is the core of what we're getting at. This right here is the core of the offense taken. When websites are sent from individuals that said for years, well, I'm really turned off by your information, Alex. That really doesn't vibe to me. But you know what does vibe to me? Let me tell you what does sing to my soul. Let me tell you what does manifest in my dreams. Alex Ansary, it's a website like this that would actually have content like this. You got to think about this. There are websites like this with authors like this that have a magnetic charisma to where readers like the person that sent me this will actually be drawn without even knowing it to a website like this that will have content like that. They will be drawn to an individual that is writing in this manner. They will not feel that this somehow discredits like the way that they're looking at the world. And the thing that I've mentioned in other videos, here we are in 2018, where are the people saying, I'm sorry, I actually was wrong. I was actually one of those individuals. To hear someone say that, to hear someone take account for things that they said in 2015, 2016, 2017 that were absolutely barbaric about these ancient people. And who are the Syrian people really? Who are they? I'm interested to hear an intelligent comment down below about the ancient bloodline of these people. And why is it in Syria that these people are being tortured and other countries? Because when I see those two world leaders that met recently, I see a pact. I see in spirit, they have a pact to remove those people. I even heard Trump said, we're going to surround Syria. And then he just went in, yeah, we talked about the Middle East. We talked about Syria. Okay, move on to other things. They have a plan for 2100. The future, right? The future doesn't want them. But meanwhile, they get people that are target individuals here in this country just focus on themselves and their own narcissism and fears of a robot apocalypse. To be frank with you, when you know this type of injustice is taking place, right? How do we live in a world like this that is so corrupted, that is so evil? How do people that refer to people around the world as subhumans become so popular on the internet, especially with baby boomer new agers left over from the 1980s? As they wait for the dawn of Aquarius, the new age upon us. How is this something one could be proud of, or individuals that promote material like this over their own blood, over anything that I have created, for example, or written for that matter, like my Solar Flare ebook at solarmaxnews.com, available for free, in hopes that people would read it and understand it and look at the things that are happening now as we move into solar minimum, as we move into solar maximum, and get it and have that light bulb. I'm going to take this off the screen because it's the point that I wanted to make to you. Here we look at aliens. We go from Philip Schneider to protests. ICE. Hey. We have secret ET global takedown, or just another Illuminati war. And so, we have a lot of this type of material on websites like this. It's like, so what's your interest? What's your poison? What do you like? What are you angry at? Who do you think's behind the cabal, right? And so they have all this information, and then they're linking to other suspect websites. So I just want to bring this to your attention, that there are that these websites ultimately destroy families, destroy relationships. They target consciousness. Whether or not this website is a product of the intelligence community, I can even tell you under Google News is linking to strange places. It was the Daily Stormer they were linking me to a few months ago on their front page under trending. Some of you know what that website is. Meanwhile, there's this false narrative being put out there that the tech industries are against those extremists and that they're victims and that they're being demonetized. And actually, some of the most extreme individuals are doing better monetarily than anything I've ever seen before in the history of the alternative media. You can take that to the bank. So I've said my piece, and I'm troubled because the future doesn't seem to want some of us. The future doesn't seem to have much of an issue. The dark side, pulling our own family members, friends, exes, ex-significant others. I've seen so many people that used to watch my own content over the years get pulled into the InfoWars spell. I've seen people that cursed Alex Jones years ago now linking to websites like this that will link to Alex Jones himself, as I just spilled my tea in a dramatic fashion. I'm not going to be silent about that. We need to protect our psyche from intrusion, from dark influences. Some people thought we were crazy for years talking about the Archon infection of humanity, wondering what we were talking about. Of course, they're not going to be able to decipher or see an archonic infection of humanity if they're welcoming it. And images of Lady Gaga on all fours, barking like a dog. God help us. And that's all I have to say.